Okay, this is a lesson on forces. This is to supplement the work in the textbook, the Copeland textbook. At the end of this description, I'll get you to pause the video and write down this information. You will need to understand all of these concepts to do the mechanics that's involved in this course. Okay, so make sure you've got this all down pat. Forces. Forces are a push or a pull on a body. They can be found acting in many directions. For this course, we only deal with coplanar 2D force systems. That's just a really simple way, or really complex way, sorry, of saying that we're dealing with forces that are all acting in the same plane, okay? So we're not going to have forces coming out towards you. We're going to be dealing with two-dimensional, okay, forces. So you're not going to be having to deal with the difficulties inherent in a three-dimensional system until you go to university. So we've got three systems that we deal with: concurrent, non-concurrent, and collinear. Okay, sounds complex, it isn't. Concurrent is acting through the same point. So if we've got a point where the force is being applied, we've got F1, F2, and F3. They don't have to be pulling away. You could have an arrow that was facing in as well. As long as they're all acting through that same point, they are concurrent. Okay, so if you were serving a sentence for murder and the judge said you're going to get 10 years for this crime and 20 years for that crime and 30 years for that crime, all served concurrently, and then be all served at the same time, you wouldn't have to add them up. Okay, so but concurrence acting through, in this instance, the same point. Okay, simple. Okay, that's the first force system. The next system that we deal with is non-concurrent, and as the name implies, it's not acting through one point because it's not concurrent. So here we've got a beam or an object, and we've got one force F1 going up, and F2 and 3 acting down. Okay, now when we do moments later on, which is forces acting at a distance from a pivot point, you're going to need to understand this concept. Okay, that's why we're doing this concept here. When we're doing equilibrium questions, quite often you're going to need to understand this system. Okay, all of this will start to make sense later on when you do actual problems. And then collinear. Okay, the word linear has the word line in it. Okay, that's kind of giving it away, isn't it? Acting along the same line. Okay, collinear forces. We're going to learn how to deal with these types of. Now, also it says here for a non-concurrent system that they're not concurrent. They may intersect at various points or be parallel. So these are all parallel to each other, but you could have forces that are non-concurrent that are doing this, okay, acting at angles, but they're not concurrent because they're not acting through the same point. So that's the main thing. The forces are not acting through the same point. They don't need to necessarily be parallel. And later on, when you do truss analysis, you'll actually deal with forces that are angled and all the problems that are involved with that situation. But understanding these concepts of how forces are applied to an object is really important for the course. And you need to understand the differences between these three force systems: concurrent, non-concurrent, and collinear. Pause the video and write down this information and make sure that you fully understand these concepts. See you in the next video.